Welcome to our lesson on knowledge management. In this lesson, we will show you our processes and strategies to effectively transfer and retain the knowledge that it took to implement your digital transformation so that it can continue to be leveraged throughout the lifetime of your applications, processes, and business model. The importance of knowledge, how it is acquired, used, and shared, is a key fundamental to a successfully integrated core. Traditionally speaking, few organizations are effective at transferring that knowledge from their systems integrators to the members of the organization who will be the custodians of the transformation once the solution integrators and other third parties leave the program. Knowledge has long been recognized as a driver of productivity and economic growth. In fact, the phrase knowledge economy was first used as far back as 1969 in Peter Drucker's book, The Age of Discontinuity: Guidelines to Our Changing Society. 32 years later, Drucker, who by then was one of the world's most preeminent management consultants, said, "The next society will be the knowledge society. Knowledge will be its key resource, and knowledge workers will be the dominant group in its workforce." Drucker predicted exactly what we see today. In our knowledge-based economy, it is the talent, the knowledge worker, that differentiates an organization. Our most unique and dynamic employees with experience, initiative, creativity, and a commitment to excellence possess the type of knowledge that sets an organization apart from its competition. When organizations create environments where individuals, regardless of whether you are a solution integrator, third-party consultant, or employee, can effectively transfer their knowledge to others, strategic initiatives, like a digital transformation, are completed more successfully. So as part of this lesson, we'll be discussing the process to support effective knowledge retention, as well as the tools to capture, facilitate, and maintain your digital transformation program knowledge. As you come towards the end of your program and are getting close to implementing your solution, there are traditionally a couple of compelling factors that hit you. One, from a budgetary standpoint, you are probably near or beyond your budget exhaustion. And two, the number of consultants you need to implement significantly reduces, and because of your budget exhaustion, you see a significant ramp down of your overall program team. The challenge is that you are still in the throes of implementing your solution when the consultants start rolling off your program, and you really haven't shifted your focus to life after the implementation. So the big challenge that most large-scale transformation initiatives face is ensuring that all the pertinent knowledge that was obtained during the execution of the program is transferred to the resources within your organization who will be the custodians of the solution for years beyond the last consultant walking out your door. Our hope is that by the end of this lesson, you as a program leader will be able to address this challenge for your digital transformation initiative. Knowledge management is the methodical replication of the expertise, wisdom, insight, and tacit knowledge of key professionals into the heads and hands of their coworkers. It's more than just on-the-job training. Knowledge transfer seeks to organize, create, capture, and distribute the know-how of the most expert in the field, usually in the heads of your solution integrator or third-party consultants, and ensure it's available to future stakeholders, usually being members of your ongoing sustain or harvest organization. That is an important goal in the world of digital transformation programs, which are knowledge intensive and often have high levels of complexity and risk. Both could be minimized by transferring valuable knowledge from the most experienced, high-performing individuals to others in an organization responsible for sustaining the current and improving upon the strategic initiatives in the future. According to an article in Pulse of the Profession, organizations that are most effective at knowledge transfer improve project outcomes by nearly 35%. These organizations are also 3 times as likely to have formal knowledge transfer processes. When essential knowledge is captured and shared, organizations see improved results across a range of project metrics, including cost savings, time on task, error rates, and innovative solutions. So with all this evidence, why is knowledge management traditionally shortchanged? Well, according to the research, when organizations fall short of the most comprehensive knowledge transfer effort, the reasons are many, but often related to cultural issues. 52% of organizations point to the fact that they have higher priorities, while 42% believe that there is insufficient recognition of the value. So, how do organizations overcome these and other barriers and embrace knowledge transfer as an important business capability? Research indicates that effective organizations focus not only on culture, but also on leadership and, most importantly, on people because knowledge lives in and is applied by them. When organizations have a culture that values knowledge transfer, they are far more successful at it. A full 96% of respondents agree that a supportive organization culture, alone or coupled with state-of-the-art knowledge storage and retrieval policies and technology, contributes to effective knowledge transfer. With culture central to knowledge transfer, who sets the tone? More than half the organizations name senior leadership as the ultimate responsible for knowledge transfer. According to the research, most companies agree that senior leadership sets the tone. It's imperative to have senior leadership actively engaged in sharing and directing the importance of knowledge. Leadership sets the culture, and that culture should emphasize the skills of collective collaboration and communication. Regardless of a specific title, 95% of organizations that are effective at knowledge transfer have identified someone in the organization who is ultimately responsible for knowledge management, compared to only 54% of organizations that don't do knowledge transfer well. Equally, if perhaps not more important to having a culture that supports knowledge transfer, is the buy-in and commitment of an organization's people. They are the vital link. Sharing begins not only with decisions about the kind of knowledge to capture, what is mission critical in the present, but also what would have value and contribute to the longer range, sustainable success within your digital transformation program. Organizations must then identify who has the knowledge and provide the tools and resources to make the knowledge transfer as routine and as easy as possible. Among the different methods for identifying knowledge that needs to be captured, the majority of the organization's research said that the program's project managers specified the critical knowledge. This gives project managers an opportunity to promote and even demonstrate the value of transferring knowledge and how it contributes to an improved project delivery process. With that support and insight, employees are more likely to recognize their roles and participate. To help in this endeavor, your program management office can be a successful advocate for knowledge transfer. The effective organizations are over 5 times more likely to have a PMO that supports knowledge transfer as a means to improving the management of projects and programs. They are also 3 times more likely to report that the PMO owns the organization's knowledge transfer. Use your program leadership to help advocate this cultural dynamic within your program and promote collaboration and knowledge sharing within your program's ecosystem. As a program leader, incent your project managers to promote these behaviors within their project teams for the betterment of the program. There are many ways for an organization to transfer knowledge. Some strategies will work better in one organization than another. The challenge is uniting the right steps, tools, and activities to transfer knowledge effectively. Based on our research, we found this process to be the one that works well within large-scale IT-enabled transformation programs, such as a digital transformation initiative. The steps of a knowledge transfer program, or the life cycle of knowledge transfer, have been identified as the following. 1. Identifying knowledge that is relevant and valuable. 2. Capturing and retaining that knowledge. 3. Sharing that knowledge with others. 4. Applying transferred knowledge. And 5. Assessing the value or benefits of specific knowledge. Identifying relevant knowledge is essentially mapping its true value. Organizations need to and should know what knowledge aligns with their strategy and what they desire to be scalable. One great method is to use your benefits case or benefits realization plan to drive the areas where knowledge transfer will provide the most value. Up front, you should know how you are going to measure benefits and have built those mechanisms into your processes and data capture. As part of the knowledge management process, make sure you have the right people in place with the knowledge to make it happen. Effective organizations outpace their counterparts for identifying relevant and valuable knowledge. They do this by relying on their project managers and project subject matter experts to identify the knowledge that is most important. Other techniques are used less often, but include industry practices, benchmarks, identification of current gaps in documented content and knowledge, performance statistics, knowledge domains identified based on workforce planning, skill gap analysis, and interviews with experts and other key consultants and employees. Once an organization identifies the knowledge that it needs to be collected, it takes disparate approaches to capturing and retaining that knowledge. One widespread guiding principle is to document lessons learned for each project or program. What an organization does with that knowledge once it is captured is equally important and can determine the success or failure of the knowledge transfer. Some of the more common ways to capture knowledge include lessons learned, post-mortem debriefings, subject matter experts, required documentation for project closure, the company's intranet, knowledge transfer workshops, and mentoring. Organizations typically use multiple approaches, which suggest that doing just one or two things is not enough. Other activities that are not widely used but are more unique and innovative include critical incident reviews, case studies, interactive web-based materials, database construction, knowledge champions, communities of practice, and dedicated knowledge transfer teams. Data analyzed by Human Systems International, HSI, shows a significant increase in the number of organizations that have effective processes for transferring knowledge and learning from experience. Practices observed include, among others, lessons learned processes, post-implementation reviews, and knowledge sharing events among communities of practice. It is our recommendation at Platinum PMO that your organization have one place to capture and maintain this knowledge. A place where all aspects of the program from day one are systematically captured and harvested for future use. This approach is a great risk mitigator for the situation we discussed up front, where your solution integrator and third-party consultants walk out your door with all the knowledge, leaving your sustained organization behind with little to no understanding on how you got where you are today. Even with a solid knowledge transfer program in place, it is nearly impossible for your sustained organization to retain all the knowledge that is transferred. That is why you need a systematic repository to digitally retain all of that knowledge, one that your sustainment team can go back to as a reference and go through the history of the decision making, review the contents of the documents as to why things were built the way they were built, and use that knowledge as the catalyst for ongoing process improvements that will continue once you have ramped down your formal digital transformation program and put your product into the hands of your organization. Nearly 7 in 10 organizations report that they make knowledge available to others. This step has the highest percentage of organizations performing it, but their approach is different, as is the definition of what it means to make knowledge available. The most common ways knowledge is shared include intranet search engine, peer review process, informational networking, outreach, and post-implementation reviews. How organizations are sharing and accessing relevant knowledge is a factor in their level of knowledge transfer effectiveness, which likely translates to project success rates. That's because not all methods or resources of sharing knowledge achieve the objective of knowledge transfer. They don't necessarily engage people in a meaningful way. This is especially true if the only approach is the use of passive knowledge repositories. Organizations that are effective at knowledge transfer create a more interactive process that facilitates direct, person-to-person knowledge transfer. At Platinum PMO, we agree that direct, person-to-person knowledge transfer is one of the better, if not the best, form of knowledge transfer. However, a major concern that comes about is information overload that comes about with knowledge transfer and your recipient's ability to retain all of that knowledge. That is why we recommend, in addition to the bits and bytes knowledge transfer of the key specifics of the program, that the knowledge transfer agent also transfers knowledge on the knowledge repository in which all the content for the program is stored. By having familiarity with this system and comfortably being able to navigate through the repository, your knowledge transfer agent is essentially teaching the knowledge transfer recipient how to fish, thereby providing your recipient access to all the knowledge captured throughout the journey of your digital transformation implementation. According to the research performed at Prudential Financial, they leveraged post-program surveys to obtain feedback from key project participants throughout the business. They compiled and analyzed results to drive face-to-face follow-up meetings that dove deeper on what was reported, discussed what went well, what didn't, and how they could do it better. They then took it one step further by archiving the key takeaways and making that information available to other program leaders and project managers for future process development and to inform best practices. The next time someone picks up a similar program or body of work, they would have quick access to the past experience of team colleagues to help optimize the process. This method is ideal to capture as part of the repository you use to run your program. By using the human face-to-face elements of the capture process, along with the digital content repository, you are providing your organization a complete history of your program, along with the lessons learned for not only your sustained organization to continually improve on your digital transformation product for years to come, but as a mechanism for future programs to leverage your lessons learned and to avoid some of the challenges you face during your journey to help improve their experience on their digital transformation journeys. After organizations make knowledge available to others, the application of transferred knowledge follows. which is often a challenging step. Technology is frequently used to facilitate applying knowledge that has been transferred. But it's important to remember that technology is most effective when it's used to aid the people, not replace them. Now, I know some of you are in the artificial intelligence space and are disagreeing with me, but there is still, most likely, going to be a human element long after the digital transformation goes live. Not to sound like a broken record, but the utilization of a central repository of content of your digital transformation is an ideal technical solution to help apply ongoing knowledge to your knowledge worker. What you will find is when your program ramps down, there are certain members of your program that will continue on their journey as part of your sustain or harvesting organization. These team members will be your conduits of your program to the new members of the sustain organization. Use these resources as your human engagement to the past to help position your sustain organization for future support and evolvement of your digital product. The final step of assessing the value or benefits of specific knowledge in the knowledge transfer lifecycle of identifying knowledge, capturing and retaining knowledge, sharing knowledge, and applying transferred knowledge is often the hardest, but the one with the biggest payoff. Assessing the benefits of knowledge is where organizations struggle. In fact, only 27% even make the effort to determine the value knowledge transfer delivers. Many find the value difficult to measure because it's not always tangible or precise. For example, 76% of organizations that are effective at knowledge transfer measure project success rates to determine the value of their knowledge programs, whereas other organizations question whether this correlation is direct enough to assess. A great recommendation to measure the success of your knowledge transfer is to tie it to your overall benefits realization plan, because knowledge is a variable in the value you are getting from your digital transformation initiative. The process of transferring knowledge is an ongoing progression of learning, adjusting, and improving. Success is possible across any organization that follows the approach identified in this lesson to align culture, leadership, and people. Our most unique and dynamic process resources, those with experience, initiative, creativity, and a commitment to excellence, possess the type of knowledge that sets an organization apart from your competition. When those resources transfer their knowledge to others within your organization, your program outcomes improve and strategic objectives are met. Organizations that value knowledge transfer and have developed good practices to support it report substantially better project outcomes than those that don't value the discipline. The most effective organizations report adhering to a 5-step method for identifying, capturing, sharing, applying, and assessing knowledge. They know knowledge is power, and transferring that knowledge is a powerful aid for the successful sustainment of your digital transformation initiative and for future digital transformation programs to come. And this concludes our lesson on knowledge management. I am looking forward to seeing you at our next lesson.